remember before I was telling you about the labourers working for a security company and what I had discovered in the first lockdown, and I'd done a video about it. Well, just to recap on that, what I discovered was that there were agents in Nigeria who would offer people jobs but tell them that they had to fork out 3,000 euros in order to get the job. And then what transpired from that was they were paying their 3,000 euros and then they were being kept without their passports and also without being paid for 6 months, thereabouts, or basically until they just got bored of not being paid and left, and then they would just bring somebody else in to replace them. So I started to discover that there were 8 companies in Dubai altogether who were all working together, all security companies, and they were bringing these Nigerians over and they were not paying them, and they were hoping after 6 months they would leave. With regards to those workers, I don't want you to forget about them, because through my videos and through social media, I was able to bring awareness to the plight of these men. Now, you would think to yourself, is there a law that would protect employees from this sort of activity going on, them being offered jobs, them not being paid? But they're very clever, these companies, because what they were doing was they were bringing the workers down to the ATM machine. They were getting them to set up their ATM cards. They were paying the money into their ATM cards. They were getting them to withdraw the money the first month, and then they were taking the card back and they were taking the money back, and then the employers were then doing that activity every single month when they were getting paid. So they weren't issuing them their ATM cards. Now I know this for a fact because I have video footage of them going back into the office asking for their ATM cards back, and they never did get that money. They were just very lucky to receive their passport after the media attention that they received through the videos. They were lucky enough, some of them, to get their passports back and just to apply for new jobs, and some of them got new jobs elsewhere in Dubai. Now, the thing is, if you have an issue like this with an employer in Dubai, there is a legal way to go about it, to report these companies and to apply and to state your case. Now, what was happening was these people were going to the powers that be. They were opening the case. This was costing them money they didn't have in the first place to give. They were paying the money. It was about 300 dirhams, to be about 80 euros. They were paying the money to the courts. They were having to wait for the verdict. They were receiving the verdict generally of, yes, you have been successful, you haven't been paid the money, and the company now have to pay the money. The problem is that there is nobody in Dubai to enforce the law once the person has been awarded the money that they're owed from the company. Then it's up to the company to pay them. There's nobody who enforces the payment on the employer. So what happens then is it just gets lost into the system again. They don't get their money. They're still in the exact same position they were. Now they owe one of their friends 300 dirhams, 80 euros, for opening the case. And then they have to go back to the court, reopen the case, pay more money to the court in order to get their money given to them. And then so on and so forth. The story goes that they don't get the money again. There's nobody to enforce it again. And so it's kind of a pointless operation. So that was what was happening when these workers were going to the labour court in the first place. They were being awarded the money. The employer wasn't following through with the money. And so they weren't getting anything out of having to go in the first place. And so one by one, they were telling each other what happened, and they were giving up on themselves, and they were giving up on being paid, and they were just happy then to have somewhere to rest their heads in the evening, and they were having no money. So it was pointless exercise giving the 3,000 euros in the first place and getting the job in Dubai in the first place. So they were becoming very, very, very disgruntled. When I started to do my research into it and discovered what was happening and put my video out there, one day I got a call, and it was one of the heads of the security company, and he said, "I'm standing outside your door," and he said, "I think we need to talk." So I said, "Okay, I'll meet you up in the reception. I won't meet you outside my door." Turns out he was at the wrong door anyways, but I didn't know that at the time while I was crapping myself inside. Now everybody at the time was telling me, "Stop it, stop it, stop it. You're going to get yourself in trouble. You're going to get yourself in trouble. Something's going to happen. You don't know what these people are capable of." But I said, well, somebody has to speak up for these people, because nothing's being done about them. These people are getting fleeced for money, and nobody's helping them. And sorry to say, because of the colour of their skin, they weren't being heard. All right? So I felt the need, I felt the desire to help, to just use my, the art of communication to speak for them on social media. So what ended up happening was I got approached by one of the heads of the company. Now at this stage, I had done quite a lot of activity. During the lockdown, we were not allowed to leave the house without a permit. I was applying for my permit, and I was walking the streets knowing where all these security companies were working, where all these people had been commissioned the contract to supply the workers for these buildings. One of the things that you need in Dubai in order to work as a security guard or as a lifeguard is what's known as a SIRA card. Now the SIRA card, the first SIRA card that you receive is a temporary one before you do the course. So one of the rules of getting a SIRA card, first of all, the company have to pay for you to do the training. And this is health and safety training, fire training, so that if somebody's working overnight in a building, that they're able to fight a fire if a fire happens. So you can get the temporary SIRA card without having the training. So this temporary SIRA card will allow you to work without the training, but within 2 or 3 months, you must do that training, the SIRA training. Now they were saying to me, because a lot of the workers were not working with the SIRA card, they had a temporary one that was now out of date, and they hadn't been for the training, and they were blaming the COVID situation for not having this training. But this training is imperative, because if you are a resident in one of those buildings and you have insurance, you are now not covered, and your contents aren't covered if the security guard has not got the training. So it has implications for the person who's renting or buying, and their insurance policies in the apartment blocks as well as the guys don't know what they're doing and don't have any training and are not able to fight a fire or deal with a medical situation if it happens. So this is why I felt so strongly. So whenever I would go on the streets and I would meet somebody who was living in one of these apartment blocks, I would say to them, "Hi, do you have a minute?" They go, "Yeah." We were doing the social distancing. I had a mask on. I said, "Okay, this is why I'm walking around. Are you aware that your security guard does not have the formal training?" Through no fault of their own, might I add, they were begging to have these SIRA cards. They want all the paperwork in place. Nigerians are very honest people when they move overseas, when they want to work, especially the guys in Dubai, because Dubai is very, very strict on rules and regulations, and you must have the certain documentation in order to get into the country in the first place, which also I didn't understand that why they were getting away with it, but they were getting away with it and nobody was speaking up for it. Now at this stage in the game, when I was accosted by somebody from the security company, I was worried about my own safety. So he told me, remove the video. I don't know what I'm talking about. Remove the video, or he said, I don't know what's going to happen to you in the future, but you have no business paying attention to what our companies are doing. They are doing everything the legit way. I said, okay, if they're doing everything the legit way, show me. And he goes, who are you? Why I need to show you? I said, because I said, you're saying that you're innocent. These people are saying that you're not. I know who you've been speaking to. I said, no, you don't. I do. I know who you're speaking to. Now, I was speaking to several different people and I was finding out myself from many different sources. So there wasn't any one particular person. What they actually did was they took in one of the workers. They said they wanted to speak to him. They were trying to get to me and they were so annoyed about what I was highlighting that they brought one of the guys in, obviously under the guise of, we just want to talk to you about your contract, smiley, smiley, all this. He went in, they said, give me your mobile phone. He said, why? They said, give me your mobile phone. They took his mobile phone and they refused to give him his mobile phone back. He went home that evening and they would not give him his mobile phone back. So that was one of the side effects of me highlighting the plight. What personally happened to one of the guys is they took his mobile phone, they wouldn't give it back to him. So they got to discussing this in the camp and they said, right, until you get your mobile phone back, we're not gonna work. So they were in the labour camp. They said, okay, none of us are going to work. What they ended up doing was not working that night. The security guard called the police. The security company rather called the police. The police came around and they said, yeah, you should have got your mobile phone back. You need to get your mobile phone back. We told that. Why are they keeping your mobile phone? So eventually, under that sort of duress and pressure, they agreed to give him back his mobile phone. That was number one. Number two of what happened during that time that I couldn't say while I was in Dubai because I was worried about my own safety, but I feel it's important to highlight what happened to these people during that time. The other guy, they removed him straight away from the job. They said, no more job for you. And they accused him of having relations with somebody in the building, which is illegal. And they said, and I saw the threatening messages they sent him. Oh, you won't have a chance. We're going to report you to the police. You're in big trouble. You won't have a chance. You were doing this. You were doing that. And the guy was saying back to them, this guy was so clever. And he was a brilliant person for me to be in contact with. But he said to them, look, if I have done what you're saying, prove it. Prove it. Show me the video. Show me this, that, and the other. So they were just getting away with, taking people's mobile phones, just firing someone on the spot. Now, bearing in mind, they were firing somebody on the spot who had never actually been paid in the first place. So I don't understand what that was all about. Now, another lady contacted me at the time. She said, I saw your video. She said, I'm based in Ajman. And she said, they have another labour camp in Ajman. And she said, I actually got speaking to a man one day there who was working for this company. And she said, they removed him from that company. So what do they do with somebody? They don't want to give you your visa back. They don't want to give you your passport back. Half of their visas have expired. They haven't done the correct visas for them. What do they do with these people? This particular guy was sent out to the desert and he was being horribly abused. And he was sent out to the desert to work somewhere in a restaurant or something. And then he was forgotten about, never to be seen again. These situations are sadly happening as we speak. There are people who are not being paid for the work that they're doing and they're being mistreated. Now, if I can only share with you that information and you can have that in your conscience when you go to these countries, when you meet these people, that you can actually say to them. Now, one of the other things that happened because of me speaking up was the company that were outsourcing the security men in the first place. They requested from the security companies, because I spoke to them as well, they requested from the security companies, we need to see every single up-to-date Sierra card, every single detail that you have for each person that you've outsourced to us to work as security men in the different apartments in JVC, JLT around Dubai. So they requested that from the company. The company that outsourced them, I tried to get in contact with the CEO of that company, who's an English guy. And when I reached out to him, the only way I could reach out to him was on Facebook. And his reply to me was, if you have any dealings with companies and you want to contact me, you go through the correct channels. When I went through the correct channels, he had somebody contact me. I told her everything that was going on, and I never heard from these people again. Now, I myself went to the police. I went to the police because I felt so threatened, because he basically said that I could end up anywhere. I felt so threatened. When I went to the police, they were very helpful, and they contacted this guy and they said, you do not go near this girl. You do not physically go near this girl. You do not speak to her. You do not anything. But my question is, how deep does this go? How many people know about this? And at that time, I was on lockdown. All this was happening. I was collating so much information. I was speaking to so many organizations. I even spoke to a senator in Nigeria about it. A lot of people were reluctant to get involved. It does beg the question, why was that? Why did people not want to get involved? Who exactly did this include? At one stage, a local gentleman who used to be involved with security companies, has investments in security companies, he was in contact with me and he said to me, look, you don't know what you're dealing with. Leave it. It was shortly after that I lost my job. I feel like the universe was looking after me, because I felt like I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop talking, trying to help these people. I didn't feel that I was in the wrong, and I couldn't bear sitting back like every other person does, because they're afraid. I'm not judging these people. They're all afraid to speak up. But if you see an injustice happening, it is your civil duty to speak to someone about it. There are so many injustices in this world. We can't help every single person, but what we can do is we can speak and we can use our voice if we come across a situation. Don't just sit back and watch and think that somebody else is going to help those people, because you can make a difference. Have a good day.